Hiya Ray, lovely to meet up with you at the range and do some further work on your game. Really looking forward to the work we're going to do this winter. As we were discussing, you're in a much better position than you were 18 months ago. You've made some good progress, and if anything now you're too good at making the changes that we've applied. You're now moving the ball excessively right to left at times. The shot cone's got a little bit too much out to the right and maybe overdrawing to the left. So a lot of the work we did today was relating to that. First of all, the thing we notice is that the hands, they trace the green line hand plane on the way back up to P2, which is nice. They should now start to elevate onto the red line elbow plane as they transition from P2 to P3 and P4. And you can see there that the hands just stay on that lower line. So what we're going to say simply is that there's too much inward and not enough upward, which is a complete contrast to what we were getting a few years ago when we were picking the club up and chopping across the ball, hitting a lot of pulls and cuts. So a little bit too much inward, a lot too much inward, which is making the arm plane too flat, which in turn is making it difficult to get the club anything other than excessively from the inside, coming into the ball underplaying too much from the inside, and that's consistent with the shot pattern we were getting. We're getting a lot of shots starting well right and drawing back, as that one did, or we get the shots turning too much to the left. If you get anything resembling a square club face with that sort of angle of approach, that ball's going to hook very quickly to the left. And we're also noticing that the tendency is to just bottom out ever so slightly behind the golf ball. When the plane is shifted so much to the right, the low point moves back, and therefore no matter what you try and do with the weight location, you're going to struggle to get a clean strike on the golf ball. So first protocol was trying to get you to feel a little bit more upward in your swing. One of the things I'd like you to work on is this sort of isolation drill where you swing back to P2 and stop, trying to feel like the hands are working in up the green line. You can see on this footage, this is when we've been trying to get you to work upwards more, and it started to creep in a little bit too soon into your swing. You could make that work, but ideally the arm would be angled in more and the hands will be on the green line at that stage. Just remember when you're doing this drill that from P1 set up to P2, the position you're sitting there now, the hands need to work in, and then from there the hands work up. The left shoulder continues to work down, the hips and the body continue to turn, and that is now providing the inward component to the arms from P2 to P4. But you can see the difference there if we look at the top of the two backswings. So there's more upward in this swing. You can see a different elbow location, which is what we're talking about on these two swings. The right elbow almost just gets pushed behind you as the left arm continues to work inwards in this movement on the left. And that in turn gives the feeling, or gives the impression, that the elbows are dividing, the right elbow just folding behind you a little bit too much. On this one, the elbow stays a little bit more in front of you, doesn't get pushed behind you quite as much, and as a result the elbows appear much closer together as you approach the top of the backswing. And the feeling then was, once you'd isolated that move, P2 stop, working the hands in, P2 to P4 work the hands up, and then from there hit the ball. You can see, I mean, we get above plane. We've had to make a few compensations. We've been that flat previously that we've had to come over it slightly. See, the hands go from below the red line to above the red line. But even no matter how much you come over the golf ball, you're still attacking it from the inside because the club's gone back so much behind you. On this one, the hands and the arms haven't gone in as much behind you. You make the same sort of over the top move, and now we get the club a little bit more out in front of the hands. So still a little bit of work to do. We'll come to that as we go. But this is you towards the end of your session, trying to feel that the hands are going to work up the green line, P1 to P2. Don't quite do that, but they're somewhere near it. So hands in and then hands up. You can see a complete difference at that point between these two swings. Really good comparison for you there, top left and top right. Much freer, but the clubs travel further, elbows aren't splaying apart quite as much, hands and arms aren't quite as deep. And the issue you discussed was that you may start to hit the odd pull and cut as you make that over the top move to correct the previously faulty backswing. And that's what we're seeing on that one. And we did it a few sort of inline shots that just faded off to the right at the end. One of the reasons for that, as well as the arm path, was what we see here, ball position well back in the stance. As a result, we're hitting down excessively and therefore out excessively. So a lot of the outward component of the path of your swing has been caused by the ball position rather than the linear movement of the lower body. So as we get the ball further forward, a little bit nearer 0 point, which is the green line, that would give you the most neutral path. By putting the ball more forward and by working on a slightly more on-plane top of the backswing, we're now needing to get the hips moving forward for longer to keep the arms in, as in it would improve this position, the arm would be in more, the club more in line with the planes, so we can start to move in a linear manner. And ideally that would end up with this scenario, hands into P2, hands elevating up to P4, and then the linear movement of the lower body getting the club back onto the desired lines, coming into impact. But for now, I just want to see a marked improvement in that position. Once we start to tidy that up, everything's going to slot into place nicely for you. I'm just going to get rid of these lines in the other videos and just let you have a look at those two side by side, because there's a stark contrast when you see them on the screen like that, separated, but when you put them together it's even more of a stark contrast, a massive difference in the top of your backswing position at that point. Reg, well done, great work. I'm looking forward to the next session in a few weeks' time. Well done.